There is a silence that doesn't beg for peace. There is a silence that breathes fire, and that silence lives in her. You want to know what power looks like? It doesn't always scream. It doesn't always post. It doesn't always clap back. Sometimes power walks in and says absolutely nothing. See, the world's been trained to respond to noise. We chase volume. We worship attention. But the most dangerous woman in the room, she isn't trying to prove anything. She already knows. And here's the kicker. When a woman chooses silence consciously, she shifts the entire energy in the room. She forces people to lean in, to wonder, to question. And that's exactly why you can't afford to miss what I'm about to share. Because if you are that woman, this is your activation. And if you've met that woman, you better listen, because you're standing next to a quiet storm ready to reshape the world. Power in restraint is a force that few understand and even fewer can harness. It defies what the world has taught us about strength. We've been conditioned to believe that volume equals authority, that visibility equals value, and that to be heard, one must always be loud. But the woman who chooses silence isn't playing by those rules, she's rewriting them. When a woman chooses silence, not because she is afraid, but because she is aware, she demonstrates a level of inner power that commands attention without demanding it. Her silence is not a void, it is an energy. A calm before a decision, a pause that makes others wonder. It is the quiet where her intuition sharpens like a blade, where her mind clears the clutter of chaos, and where she connects with her purpose without outside interference. You see, there's a difference between silence that's forced and silence that's chosen. When a woman chooses to hold her tongue, to sit in observation, to wait instead of rush, she is not retreating. She is refining. She is assessing the field, the players, the moves. And when she finally acts, it is with precision, not panic. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't second guess, because she already did all her thinking in silence. In a world addicted to reaction, her restraint is a rebellion. She's not the one arguing in circles. She's not exhausting herself trying to be understood by people who never planned to listen in the first place. She's not draining her energy, proving her worth to anyone. She knows who she is, and more importantly, she's okay with you not knowing yet. That's not her concern. She doesn't need to be the loudest person in the room because she knows that silence, when it comes from power, is louder than any scream. And that makes people nervous. It should. Because you can't predict a woman who's not desperate to be seen. You can't manipulate someone who isn't seeking your approval. You can't break someone who's already found peace in her own company. Her silence is not absence, it is her presence amplified. Power in restraint isn't weakness. It's the purest form of strength. It's the quiet, composed woman who won't flinch in the face of conflict, who won't crumble under pressure, and who won't react just to satisfy someone else's expectations. She'll move when it matters. She'll speak when it counts. And when she does, everything changes. The danger lies in the wait, in the not knowing what's coming, in the realization that her silence wasn't a delay. It was the build-up to something bigger, something exact, something unstoppable. That is why restraint conscious, deliberate restraint isn't passive. It's power, fully owned, fully mastered, and ready to shift the world the moment she decides the time is right. Unspoken confidence is one of the most misunderstood forms of power in a woman. The world teaches us that confidence must be seen to be believed. It must be broadcasted, worn like armor, shouted from stages, posted on screens. But the woman who chooses silence, who doesn't feel the need to announce her strength, often possesses more confidence than anyone in the room. Her silence isn't shyness. It's certainty. It's the stillness of someone who knows exactly who she is and doesn't need the world to agree. This kind of confidence doesn't ask for attention. It attracts it. She doesn't fight for space, she is the space. She doesn't enter a room to be noticed, she enters and everything shifts. People feel her energy, her presence, and they're drawn and not by noise, not by spectacle, but by something far more rare, authenticity rooted in self-trust. She doesn't perform. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg to be understood. She simply exists in full ownership of her worth, and that rattles people. Because you can't manipulate a woman who doesn't seek your validation. You can't shame a woman who no longer needs your permission to be powerful. And that's the threat. Confidence that doesn't shout is the kind that can't be shaken. She's not performing confidence, she is confident in her thoughts, in her values, in her vision. And she doesn't need you to see it before it's real. She doesn't need applause to believe she's enough. That kind of inner foundation is built in silence, and it holds strong when storms come. While others crumble under criticism or rejection, she simply stands. Because she wasn't built by the outside world, she was built by every moment she chose herself quietly, relentlessly, without compromise. When a woman carries that kind of unshakable confidence in her silence, it does something powerful. It unsettles the insecure. It challenges the fake. It exposes the weak foundations in others. Her presence calls out what people trying to hide in themselves, not through words, not through confrontation, but by simply existing in full alignment with who she is. And people feel that. They either rise with her or retreat from her. That's what unspoken confidence does. It separates the authentic from the artificial. She doesn't need to prove she belongs. She already knows. That's why she doesn't chase titles or force her opinions. She's not in competition with anyone. She's too focused on evolving, too focused on growing in silence, too focused on building a life that doesn't require performance to feel real. Her silence is a reflection of her alignment. Her confidence isn't loud, it's layered. It's woven into her every decision, her every boundary, her every step. And when she finally speaks, people listen. Not because she demanded their attention, but because her silence taught them she doesn't waste words, and when she speaks, it means something. That's unspoken confidence, and it's one of the most powerful things a woman can ever possess. When a woman chooses silence, it doesn't mean she's disengaged. It means she's becoming dangerous in the most strategic way possible, because in her quiet, she's calculating. While others are talking just to be heard, she's observing everything. Every tone, every glance, every contradiction. She's studying, and in that stillness, she is building a kind of awareness most people never achieve because they're too busy trying to react faster than they can think. You see, a woman who doesn't respond impulsively is not avoiding the battle. She's studying the terrain.
She's mapping out the exit routes, identifying the threats, reading the patterns.
Every second she waits, every moment she stays silent, she's becoming sharper. She's not wasting energy on ego. She's not distracted by noise. She's not giving in to the pressure of speaking just to fill the silence. She's using that silence as a weapon, one that allows her to see what others miss. That kind of presence is dangerous because it's precise. When she finally moves, she doesn't stumble. She strikes. Because while others were chasing attention, she was gathering intelligence. While they were trying to be right, she was focused on being wise. And wisdom doesn't shout. It doesn't interrupt. It waits. It listens. It discerns. And then it acts powerfully, intentionally, and without apology. The world often rewards speed and noise, but mastery comes from stillness. And a woman who chooses stillness over drama is operating at a different frequency. She doesn't play the game to win cheap points. She plays to understand the board, the players, and the real prize. Her silence doesn't mean she's unsure. It means she's decided not to reveal her position until it counts, until it's time. And when it is, she will not ask for permission, she will simply execute. This level of restraint, this depth of calculation is what makes her unpredictable. People don't know what she's thinking. They can't measure her moves. They don't know if she's walking away forever or about to lead something that changes everything. And that's exactly what gives her the upper hand. She's not broadcasting her intentions. She's not auditioning for approval. She's not trying to be liked. She's positioning herself with purpose. And the truth is, it terrifies people because silence makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to sit with their own noise, their own insecurity. When someone doesn't respond the way they expect, they start to doubt their control. And when that someone is a woman who knows exactly what she's doing, exactly why she's waiting, and exactly when she'll speak or act, she becomes the most unpredictable, powerful presence in the room. She's not afraid of silence. She lives in it. She uses it. She commands it. And in that silence, she's creating something no one saw coming because they were too busy underestimating what they couldn't hear. The misjudged weapon, that's what silence becomes in the hands of a woman who knows her worth. Society has been taught to look for power in noise, in titles, in confrontation. We're conditioned to think the loudest one in the room is the one in control. But that belief is a trap. And the woman who chooses silence, who is often overlooked or underestimated, becomes the most dangerous figure in the room because of it. People assume silence is weakness. That if she's quiet, she's uncertain. That if she's not arguing, she's losing. That if she's not visibly fighting, she's surrendered. But what they fail to realize is that her silence is a choice, not a symptom of fear, but a sign of self-mastery. She doesn't have time to explain herself to small minds. She doesn't need to convince anyone of her value. She already knows. And that knowledge, unspoken but deeply rooted, makes her impossible to control. They misjudge her because she doesn't need to be seen. But invisibility is a tactic. When she doesn't show her moves, when she doesn't react, she becomes unreadable. And what people can't read, they can't manipulate. She's not giving away her power through reactive emotion. She's conserving it, storing it, building it. And when she finally reveals what she's been crafting in silence, it's not just surprising, it's unstoppable. That's what makes her so dangerous. Not because she's trying to be, but because she's allowed herself to be underestimated. She lets them doubt her. She lets them think she's passive. She allows the room to forget she's there until it's too late. Until she makes the move no one saw coming. Until her quiet presence turns into undeniable influence. And let's be honest, people fear what they don't understand. And they don't understand her. They don't understand how she can walk away from chaos without flinching. How she can stay calm when provoked. How she can hear insults and not respond, not because she's weak, but because she simply doesn't care to engage. That level of detachment, that level of focus, that depth of control, it's intimidating. Because we're living in a world that thrives on reaction. But she doesn't react. She chooses. And she chooses silence, not to disappear, but to prepare. Her silence is not absence, it's incubation. She's growing, observing, aligning. And when the moment is right, she acts with clarity, with direction, without needing to ask for understanding or approval. They call her silent because they can't hear her power. They call her passive because they don't see her strategy. They call her weak because she refuses to perform. And that's the mistake they'll keep making until she steps forward and everything changes. Her silence is the most misjudged weapon, and that's exactly why it works. Silence is often seen as a pause, a retreat, a space between action and reaction. But for a woman who chooses it with intention, silence is not a void, it's a transformation. It is the cocoon in which she evolves. While the world expects her to break, to cry out, to respond in predictable ways, she does something far more powerful. She goes inward. She becomes still. She gathers her energy. And in that sacred space of silence, she becomes someone new. This kind of woman doesn't announce her pain. She doesn't perform her struggle. She doesn't ask for the world to witness her becoming because her silence isn't about hiding, it's about building. Behind the closed doors of her quiet, she is reconstructing her boundaries, reshaping her standards, redefining her identity. She is healing. She is strategizing. She is upgrading, and no one sees it coming because no one knows what's happening in the silence. While others may mock her for not reacting, for pulling back, for being too quiet, they don't realize they're witnessing the most dangerous part of her journey. Because a woman in silence is not idle, she is incubating power. She's sitting with hard truths, facing herself, shedding what no longer serves her. She's letting go of what they said, what they did, and who they told her she had to be. And in that letting go, she becomes limitless. Silence is where she remembers who she was before the world tried to shape her. It's where she reconnects with her original fire, the one they tried to dim with expectations, with rejection, with fear. And once she finds that flame again, she doesn't need to shout about it. She just lets it burn, quietly, consistently, relentlessly, until she walks out of that silence no longer the version of herself the world thought they could control, but someone completely reborn. This is what people don't understand. They think silence is weakness because they've never had the strength to sit in it themselves. But the woman who embraces silence does what most people avoid. She faces the discomfort. She listens to the voices inside her without distraction. She sifts through the pain and extracts wisdom. She doesn't run from her truth, she walks through it. And on the other side, she emerges not only stronger, but clearer, sharper, more grounded. She doesn't need to come back loud to make her return known. Her energy will say everything. Her decisions will speak louder than words ever could. And when she starts to move again, when her silence breaks, it won't be chaotic. It will be precise, focused, unstoppable. Because she used her silence not as an escape, but as a tool, a sanctuary, a forge. And what came out of fire is no longer fragile, no longer naive, no longer bound by who she used to be. She didn't disappear. She transformed. And now, the world will meet a woman shaped by silence and made dangerous by who she became within it. So now you see her silence was never about absence. It was preparation. It was rebirth. It was the making of something the world could not define, could not predict, and absolutely could not control. The most dangerous woman is not the one who shouts to be heard, who fights to be seen, or who battles for validation. No, the most dangerous woman is the one who chooses silence, because she doesn't need to be heard to have impact. She is the impact. While the world was watching for noise, she was becoming unshakable. While they underestimated her stillness, she was becoming untouchable. And now when she speaks, if she speaks, every word will carry weight. Every action will shake the ground. And those who overlooked her will realize too late that the quiet was not weakness. It was warning. So if you are that woman, own your silence. Respect it. Use it. Because it is not the absence of power. It is the evolution of it. And when you're ready to step forward, you won't need to raise your voice. The world will already be listening. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them doubt. And when the silence ends, let them remember.